Thank you, Jane. Good morning. We are the Rogue Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or RUF, in Ashland, Oregon. My name is Donna Barrett, and I am very happy to lead this service today with help from Reverend Susan Frederick-Gray, our UUA President, and 2 others from our parent organization. We want to especially thank the members of the stream team who are helping make this happen for all of us, and the members of the hospitality team, or neighborhood team, who welcome the on-site congregation. If you are a newcomer, we invite you to sign up for our mailing list on rvuuf.org, or if you are in the building, you can get a blue form from the welcome desk. You will receive a weekly email that gives lots of information about what is going on at RUF. We are so glad to have you with us for this service. Our chalice lighting words are from Cynthia Landrum. As we kindle this flame, may it spark in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition and to each other.
This morning, our opening song is Where Do We Come From? You'll find it as an insert in your order of service. It has multiple parts, different layers, and we're going to start by just singing through all the lines, each line twice, and familiarize ourselves with the melody. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing through each line twice. Here we go. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
Now you're not finished. I invite you to pick your favorite line, whichever part it is, and just sing that line through multiple times. Or if you want to sing the entire thing, you can do that too. The choir is also going to add some layers to this, and we'll start everything at the same time, everybody all together. Keep on to your own part, and let's hope for the best. Here we go. 1, 2, here we go.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery,
It has become our practice to light a candle each week for peace. Today's words are from Pema Chodron, a Buddhist nun. If we want there to be peace in the world, we have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take responsibility. That's the true practice of peace.
Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
Okay, this is the first time I've had to read a story. So I'm going to try and get closer because this story is fabulous. It's just perfect for us today, but the pictures are very tiny. So try and picture this little girl and her dog, okay? It's called The Most Magnificent Thing by Ashley Spires. This is a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. She makes things. He unmakes things. One day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She's going to make the most magnificent thing. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. All she has to do is make it. And she makes things all the time, easy peasy. First, she hires her assistant, her dog. Next, they gather their supplies. They set up somewhere out of the way and get to work. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she is finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side. Her assistant examines the other side. It doesn't look right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. It doesn't feel right either. They are shocked to discover that the thing isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kind of sort of okay. It is all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles and tugs and wags. When she's finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. So she tries again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts. She stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes and straightens and studies. She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square. She makes it round. She gives it legs. She adds antenna. She makes it fuzzy. She makes it long, short, rough, smooth, big, small. One even smells of stinky cheese. But none of them are magnificent. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing that she has in her mind. Oops. This page has something important. She gets mad. The angrier she gets, the faster she works. She smashes pieces into shapes. She jams parts together. She pummels the little bits in. Her hands feel too big to work, and her brain is too full of all the not right things. If only the thing would just work. Crunch. The pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain, and she explodes. It is not her finest moment. I'm no good at this. I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. It's not much help at first. But before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. I'm trying not to be nervous. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. Then she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. The bolts on one, the shape of another, the wheel to seat ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. By the time she reaches the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistant makes sure there are no distractions. One man says, "This is the perfect thing to ward off bears." A woman says, "This will stop that leak." And a little kid says, "This one's all wet." The afternoon fades into evening. Finally, she finishes. She alerts her assistant. The pair take a good long look. It leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use a bit of work, but it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing. I don't know if you can see, but she's created some kind of scooter with a little part for her doggie to go along with her. The end. Well, next we're going to have a meditation, and that will be a video. And Reverend Patrice Curtis is going to be doing this, and it's a transformation. She's the Transformational Interim Ministries Director.
Beloveds, do you remember roly-polies? A roly-poly is a small bug covered by a flexible shell that looks like armor. They're also known by other names like potato bug and wood shrimp. Roly-polies roll up into a little ball to protect their soft underside, only displaying their hard shell. Times of change can make us want to roll up into a ball like a roly-poly, believing we are protecting our soft underside. But when we do, we cannot stretch toward one another, together breaking the harmful systems and structures of oppression and prejudice that keep us apart. Focusing on our breath can help us remain open, quieting our nervous systems when they are affected by worry and stress and anxiety of change. I invite you into a brief practice of noticing your breath with me. Where you are, find your center, that core spot in your body where you feel balanced. Take a deep breath. And take another deep breath. And as you continue to breathe, notice your breath coming in and out of your body. Notice perhaps your chest rising and falling, your belly expanding and contracting. Turn to your breath if you find your mind is wandering. Turn to breath. Return to your breath. Thank you. Your breath is always with you when you are with family and friends, when you are in worship on Sunday, in committee meetings. In the midst of change, return to your breath when you feel your anxiety and worry and stress rising. Breath. Breathe. I am Reverend Patrice Curtis, the Transformational Interim Ministries Director within UUA's Ministries and Faith Development Group. My ministries with interim and developmental ministers as they build belonging in our congregations during times of transitions. Held gently, a roly-poly will unfurl itself. May you feel held in love and compassion of our faith, so that you feel open. And may you hold others so that they too will feel open. And may you return to your breath in those times when you feel you want to curl up.
Let's remain seated as we sing together the meditation on breathing. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out
Reverend Susan Frederick-Gray, our UUA President, will now speak to us in this video.
Hello, Unitarian Universalists. I'm Susan Frederick-Gray, President of your Unitarian Universalist Association, and it is my joy to be with you today. One of the gifts of these pandemic times has been the ways we have grown in our capacity to connect across congregations and across our association. Over 5 years ago, when I was elected president of the UUA, I knew there was no way I could visit every UU congregation as much as I would have liked to have done so. And yet through technology and being able to offer a message that any and all of our congregations can use, I am grateful to be able to connect in this way and share with you some of what I witness from my vantage point as I pay attention to our association as a whole and the dynamics of our changing world. For more than a year now, I have been talking about these times we are living in as liminal times. Liminal means a time in between, when what has been is no longer and what is ahead is still unclear. The pandemic upended so much of our lives, and yet what is next is still unfolding, still being imagined. I know that many of us are no strangers to this experience, and that for many of our congregations, we are experiencing layers of liminality, layers of transitions. I can relate as I finish my last year as your UUA president, and the UUA prepares to welcome our next president. The UUA president will be elected by delegates from our congregations this coming June at our General Assembly online and in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I hope you will send your delegates. In addition to all of our own personal transitions, a number of our congregations are in various modes of change. Many are in ministerial search or hiring processes for other staff. Others are in their first year of welcoming new staff. You know, across our congregations, we are seeing a lot of staff transition and a shortage of interim ministers. Like a lot of caring professions, we have seen religious professionals leave their work. needing a break after what has been a grueling few years of both pastoral, prophetic, and technological demands. It has all been so much. It could be said that we're all learning to live and adapt in the in-between. We know from these last several years both the challenge and the losses, as well as the creativity and possibility of these transitional times. And the lessons from these times are crucial to bring forward because in truth, there is still so much change happening and needed within and around all of us. This is certainly true in our congregations where the ways in which people connect to religious community have broadened and shifted and new patterns are still developing. And it's true in our country where we continue to witness systems and practices break down with devastating impacts. From healthcare and infrastructure to basic goods and services to the economy to democracy, our system has shown tremendous weaknesses that impact the vulnerable most acutely. Human and civil rights are being rolled back at an alarming rate, and these fissures overall reflect a society that has put profit and power over people's lives. Now, in times of change and disruption, there is always a risk that fear and anxiety will dominate and lead people to cling more tightly to what has been, to a status quo that has never served the cause of human need, nor the values of justice and equity. But here's the thing. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are a people of faith. We are a people of hope and imagination. And I witness this in so many places across our faith, from congregations that continue to partner and share resources, to the energy and volunteers of UU the Vote, to our congregations boldly sacrificing to support people in accessing reproductive care, and to all of our congregations celebrating and being a loving community for trans and non-binary children and youth and their families. And so, when so much is uncertain, it matters that we lean in even more to what we know to be true, the life-saving message of our theology and the life-affirming practices of the beloved community. So there is this wonderful parable from the late Denon Perry, a writer and humanitarian, that uses the metaphor of a trapeze artist to describe the experience of living in transition times. This is from the Parable of the Trapeze from Perry's book, Warriors of the Heart. He writes, "Most of the time, I spend my life hanging on for dear life to my trapeze bar of the moment. It carries me along at a certain steady rate of swing, and I have that feeling that I am in control of my life. But every once in a while, I see another trapeze bar swinging toward me. Each time it happens, I pray that I won't have to let go of my old bar completely before I grab the new one. But in my knowing place, I know that I must totally release my grasp on the old bar, and for some moment in time must hurdle across space before I can grab on to the new bar. Each time, I'm filled with terror. It doesn't matter that in all my previous hurdles across the void of unknowing, I have always made it. Still, each time I'm afraid that I will miss. I do it anyway. Perhaps this is the essence of what the mystics call the faith experience. No guarantees, no net, no insurance policy, but you do it anyway because somehow to keep hanging on to that old bar is no longer on the list of alternatives. So for an eternity that can last a microsecond or 1,000 lifetimes, I soar through the void of the past is gone, the future is not yet. It's called transition, and I've come to believe that this transition is the only place that real change occurs. And I mean real change, not the pseudo change that only lasts until the next time my old buttons get pushed. What a powerful metaphor that is about our lives today. And a reminder that real change, needed change, is possible, perhaps only possible in these transition times. Now, there's a few nuggets of wisdom in this story to really draw out. First, as Perry says, as much as we want to stay holding on to our current bar, it just doesn't work that way. We have to totally release our grasp on the old to make way for the new. And this is not easy. I want to be clear, for in times of change, there's a real tension between longing for what was, what we knew was stable, familiar, and meaningful, even if it was not that for everybody. and the opportunity to imagine something new, new forms, new practices, new possibilities in our lives and community. This is so relevant for our congregations today. The pandemic completely changed so much of congregational life and how we gather. And as we navigate what comes next, there's a real tension within many of our communities. Some of us know we can't go back. We know we need something different, and we're ready and excited for that future. But we can also have anxiety and a desperate desire to know for sure what comes next. We want that certainty, whereas others long for what was, because we are all often attached to what has been familiar to us in our past. And so many people want that familiar congregational experience again. But the truth is both of these are seeking attachment when we are in the midst of transition. And being able to stay in the transition, growing more comfortable with being in that void and uncertainty is the place where growth really happens. And this means experimentation and creativity. And this can be challenging because we want to know what comes next before letting go of what we have always done. But we can spend all our time trying to answer questions we don't have answers to, or we can just go for it and start experimenting with living our theology in ways that give us courage and resilience today. And this means bringing creativity and generosity and care to the children and youth and families that are so in need because of this pandemic. And it means courage to answer the call to fully live in active solidarity with those who know how much is on the line and working to bring about more justice, equity, and compassion to fruition. Because here's the other gem in the parable. When the trapeze artist lets go of the bar, they do not free fall. There is momentum carrying them as it carries us all. And it's that fear of free fall that can keep us clinging to something that no longer works. But our connection, our shared history, our ancestors, our songs and readings and poetry, our spiritual imagination, all of these are momentum that propel us forward. We give each other courage. And the truth is, we are not swinging on these bars alone. We are together in this moment. And we will make mistakes and we will learn from them and we will learn to love again if we are willing to take a leap of faith. I want to acknowledge how embodied this metaphor of the trapeze artist is. But remember disabled acrobats and blind aerialists whose art and athleticism carries the same metaphors. There are many words I could use to describe the momentum that keeps propelling us in these liminal times. Calling, mission, whatever it is that acts as a beacon that calls us forward, calls us towards what is most treasured in our faith, that calling of the beloved community. And when I speak of beloved community, I mean the description that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. offers about a community that practices an all-inclusive, overflowing love that supports everyone's thriving, and a love that cannot tolerate injustice, exploitation, discrimination, and poverty because of the damage these things do to human thriving. Denon Perry ends his parable with one final lesson. He writes, I have a sneaking suspicion that the transition zone is the only real thing, and the bars are illusions we dream up to avoid the void where the real change, the real growth occurs for us. Yes, with all the pain and fear and feelings of being out of control that can, but not necessarily accompany transitions, they are still the most alive, most growth-filled, passionate, expansive moments in our lives. Transforming our need to grab that new bar, it can be terrifying. It can also be enlightening in the true sense of the word. Hurtling through the void, we may just learn how to fly. Oh, I love that ending from Perry. And I want to use it to end with a charge for all of us. Yes, we have been in a time of change and uncertainty for years now. So many bars on which we relied just disappeared, and many of us know the deep pain of being forced into a transition that we never wanted. Naturally, within all of us, we want to get to that next bar, to be settled, to have the pandemic over, to have this transition time done, to be through the grief. However, as much as we all want to find that solidity, may we remember that as Perry offers, the bars are the illusion, and that transition is the only real time, and it's the most alive and growth-filled space. And in that liminality, in that in-between, we may just learn to fly. Because in this world that is indeed at a threshold moment, we need religious communities that are living actively in this in-between time, willing to remain unsettled because so much is unsettled. Communities leaning into and reimagining what prophetic, life-saving, and justice-making ministry and community can be. Communities practicing a generosity of spirit, a generosity of care and belonging, of mutual support, to support one another in love in these times, and knowing faithfully that our values, our spiritual imagination, our interdependence will carry all of us forward. May it be so. And I want to just end with a prayer. Spirit of life, we are mindful of all those who came before us. We are mindful and committed to all those who will come after us. Love, hold us fast to what is best and deepest in us. Hold us close to one another and to all that is our life. And may we keep true to all that calls us forward in love and in liberation. Blessed be, and amen.
Okay, I have to just have a commentary or an editor's note. I find her refreshing, and she certainly didn't slow her words for the most part, so you had to really pay attention. But I went to GA virtual in last June, and I just find her delightful and dynamic. We have this last year with her, and then we'll have a new UUA president, so it'll be a hard act to follow. Each week, we take an offering to support the mission and the work of our congregation. Since the pandemic, your generosity has been nearly the only source of financial support for the programs, services, outreach, and staffing of our congregation. Your giving is immediately put to work, putting our principles into action in our community and beyond. If you are here in the Great Hall, as most of us have been here before, there's a basket in the foyer where you can make your gift, or you can give in one of the following ways.
You can give by sending a check to Ruth, 87 4th Street, Ashland, Oregon, 97520. Or you can give online at tinyurl.com/roofoffering, or by using your phone to scan this QR code. You can give by sending a text to 541-229-4229. Please text the amount of your gift with a $sign. For example, $50 for $50. If you need support, please contact Reverend Sean using the form on roof.org. We will do our best to help. For these gifts which support us in doing the work of our mission, and for all the gifts you bring into this world, thank you. You can give.
This morning, our closing song is Life Calls Us On by Jason Shelton and Kendall Gibbons. It is on your insert. The choir will lead you boldly in the melody if it's not familiar, but by the fourth verse, they're going to break off into some other harmonies, and the melody will be the responsibility of you and me. So here we go. Let's rise in body or spirit as we sing.
Here in reverence now we gather.
Our closing words will be given by Reverend Keith Cron, Director of the Transitions Office.
Who were we? Who are we? Who could we be? These are questions we have always asked. I'm Reverend Keith Cron, Director of the Ministerial Transitions Office for our Unitarian Universalist Association. And I know we have always wrestled with these questions, but some ways at this moment, these questions are even more prevalent, more real, and more true. I watch us wrestle with these questions as we go through transitions, whether it be ministerial transitions or just the transitions of the world. These are good questions to be asking. We're also asking questions about what's left. What's possible? What is needed? What do individuals need? What do you need? What do our congregations need? And what do our communities need? Good questions. Questions Unitarian Universalists will now try and begin to work through and find answer for themselves. For those congregations in ministerial transitions, the office supports them as they go through this work, guided by the mission that the world simply needs more Unitarian Universalism at this moment. And how can we reach those who need us? We need good ministry, both from our ministers and from congregations. We need places where people can connect, be together, make a difference, find magic. The magic of life, of being together, of a work toward justice. This may be a time when our congregations are beginning to think about what their priorities are, and it may lead them to do less. That may be the future of many congregations, and it may be a very good one. Whatever stage of transition you are in, whatever your future might be, I hope and pray that what you do well, that you find magic, that you make a difference, that you give the world a little more Unitarian Universalism in a world that needs it. Amen.